In this video, we're going to take a look at attaching, removing, and resetting components on our game objects. So for starters, let's just get a blank game object. I'm going to do this by hitting Control-Shift-N to make a brand new game object, and it helps if you have focus in your viewport when you do that. And here is our blank game object, just waiting, begging for us to attach a component to it. To do this, we're going to go under the component menu, and of course we have a lot of different components to choose from. I'm going to pick on something that'll require a few different components. Let's drop on a mesh filter. Mesh filter is going to allow us to assign a model to this object. And here we go. Now, we haven't chosen a model yet, so we're not seeing anything, though that's really only half the battle is choosing the model. We'll get there in a moment, though. So let's assign some model. We'll click on our little circular select button, scroll down, and grab our rock mesh, which I'll just double click like so. So we have our mesh. It's been associated with our component, which we've just added, but we need some more components to be able to do anything with this. Specifically, we need a mesh renderer. So let's go back under component, jump over to mesh, and we will add a mesh renderer. Now that draws out our mesh, but it still doesn't really look like a rock because a mesh renderer takes in a material. So here inside the mesh renderer, we see element 0, currently set to no material. Let's click on our circular select button. If we scroll down, you'll see the rock mesh material. Double click that, and now we have essentially built ourselves a rock. We can take this rock and we can position it anywhere. We could take the game object that drives it, press F2, and name this rock.
Right, and as you get into scripting, this is basically the same principle that you use when you create your own objects in scripts. You start with a new game object, and that new game object only has a transform. And as you get into scripting, you can bolt on components through scripting and build it either in scripting, and we're basically going to do in scripting what you see here. This will be topics that are discussed in some of our other video sets that we are currently developing, and depending on when you've seen this video, may actually already be in existence.
So let's talk about, well, let's add on one more component just so we have something else to work with here. So just for the fun of it, I'm going to go under component, jump down under rendering, and bolt on a light. Now this actually means that our rock is emitting light, which that looks really spooky.
It's kind of like glowing on the underneath.
Yeah, it's some sort of weird, crazy, hovering space rock. But we can come under the light and we can change various values inside of it. So we could increase the range of the light, we could change its color, change its intensity. And let's say after a while we're thinking, well, you know, I really liked the light when it was just the plain white light. We need to go back to its default settings. We can do that by right-clicking on the component and choosing Reset. And that'll take it right back to its defaults. So it's a quick, easy way to do that. And then maybe at some point we come back to our senses and realize it's just not a wise idea to have a rock that emits light, and so we want to take that component off. It's as easy as right-clicking and just choosing Remove Component right here in the inspector. So there is a look at adding components to actually create something, resetting the settings on components that you have been adjusting back to their defaults, as well as removing components that you don't need. And that is going to wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.